Hi, so in the last episode we were in Zion National Park. This episode is going to be about Bryce National Park, which is still in Utah. I thought that it might be quite samey to Zion, so I wasn't sure if it'd be good or not. Actually, it was really different. There were a lot more trees, and there was a lot more kind of different rock formations, a lot more variation, and the walking was totally different. It was much easier because the paths were a lot more sort of specifically carved out.
We've now been on the road for a month. If you're interested in seeing exactly where we are and where we've been, there is a map linked in the video description below. It's in all the video descriptions that I upload. And there's also a link to a spreadsheet with a lot of data if you're into that sort of thing. That shows exactly how many miles we've driven, how many miles we've run, and what we've spent money on all the way. So if you're interested in that, the links are in the description below. Other than that, on to Bryce. Today we're spending the day at Bryce Canyon National Park. This is where you can get a shuttle bus around the loop at the top of the canyon that we're looking down into now. Or you can drive your own car if you wish. The parking is a bit of an issue in this area, not as much as it is at Zion, but it's still quite an issue. We just left our car at the shuttle park. We're happy to do the shuttle around the rim, and then we'll be walking down into this amphitheatre, which is what the park is very famous for. The things down there are called hoodoos, geological formations. We'll be walking down into there for the rest of the day after just driving around the rim on the bus looking down into the canyon. So it should be a really nice day. It's a lot cooler here because it's a lot higher altitude, so it won't be the heat of Zion yesterday. Scenery here is absolutely amazing. Looking down, it's definitely some of the best scenery I've ever seen anywhere. I'd definitely say Bryce Canyon National Park is a must-see. All the guides suggest one day's enough to see the sights, go down and trek amongst those hoodoo formations. As you can see, the whole area is pretty amazing. As you look down, you do need a car pretty much to drive here, but once you're here you can just use the shuttle bus. $35 US entry, or free with the America the Beautiful pass. Moved around the crater rim now to the next bus on the shuttle stop, which is Inspiration Point here. There's a bit less, fewer trees here to obscure the view, so you can see it a bit more continuously. Up at Bryce Point there's quite a few trees, not dense, but just interrupting a perfect view. Just moved up to the middle observation point here at Inspiration Point, so 3 of them, all very close together. At both Bryce and Inspiration Point, if you are just jumping off the bus to look at the viewpoint, you probably need to spend about a minimum of 20 minutes, probably more like 30 minutes to walk between the very close by observation points and take some photos and video. Moved on to Upper Inspiration Point here. I think this is probably the best view of all the ones we've had so far. Just looking out there, what's called the wall of windows, 2 gaps in the rock you can see ahead. Got a beautiful 360-degree panorama here. A lot of the hoodoos down there. So something that actually reminds me of a bit of Table Mountain in South Africa on the horizon. And then you can see down here the valley. Huge amount of hoodoos there. We'll be walking all around there this afternoon. You can perhaps see some trails cut into the rock down below. Though not many, you do have to kind of look hard to see the trails. So now we just started hiking down from Inspiration Point down towards Sunset Point. There's lots of nice little vantage points such as this one all around. The drop-offs aren't very steep here, as you can see. You can go into a few little outcroppings of rock to get good, nice 360 degree. As you walk along the trail, you do get slightly different perspectives on the hoodoos down in the valley. Obviously it's all quite similar, but there is quite a striking difference if you're just looking at them. Even from a difference of a few degrees, the valley can subtly change in appearance. Just a bit further round, and it really looks quite significantly different now as you look down into the valley, almost from a bit further round to the side. A lot of guides, there's questions, should you go to Zion or Bryce? I would say they're completely different national parks. If I had to pick the two, I'd choose Bryce, just because I don't think there's much that's quite similar to this around the world, whereas things like Todra Gorge in Morocco are a little bit similar to Zion. This region reminds me of Cappadocia in Turkey, but it's only a vague resemblance. It's quite different really. Walking along the crater rim still, just dropping down a bit now, so valleys dropping a bit more level with us. We can see the rock formations from a very different angle here. There's a local superstition that the formations down below are those of frozen legend people who annoyed a coyote who turned them all into stone. So that's why they're sitting there, standing there, lying there, allegedly all legend people. Now reached Sunset Point on the rim trail. Very nice lookout. It's a normal 360 across the valley, well, canyon even. Here now at Sunrise Point, the last of the viewpoints we'll see from the crater rim. We're going to head down into the crater now along the Queen Elizabeth Trail, I think it is, something like a Queen something trail. For both Zion and Bryce, we stayed in a place called Cedar City. It's about an hour away from Zion, an hour and a half away from Bryce, so a fairly easy drive by USA standards. Getting deeper down into the canyon now on the Queen Victoria Trail. You're getting very close up to all the hoodoos that we previously saw up from when we walked around the canyon rim. Some of the hoodoos have particular names. This one's the Queen Victoria hoodoo. With a bit of imagination you might be able to see a queen sitting on top of perhaps an animal, a camel or something like that. It does take a bit of imagination because weathering and such like changes these over time, so what they might have looked like when originally named, they might look rather different now. Really are stunning sights, literally just around every corner here. Although Bryce Canyon's an awful lot higher than Zion and a lot cooler, it's still very warm hiking around. I'm just in shorts and t-shirt. Still need to bring some layers for the morning, particularly when you're on the bus and getting here, but once you start hiking, unless the weather's really bad, you should be absolutely fine to be in fairly small amounts of clothing. The view is amazing as you just exit down this small little passageway in the rock, and then you can see gradually just all opens out into a really perfect view of the valley below. This is one of the series of quite steep switchbacks on Peekaboo Trail. It's really nothing to worry about, just walk backwards and forwards endlessly, and for your troubles you get quite a nice little view through the rocks to the other side of the canyon. Big advantage of going and hiking down in the valleys is while you're up on the rim with all the amazing viewpoints, there's an awful lot of people around. Whereas as you can see here, we're just hiking Peekaboo Trail and there's no one around. It's just Jane and I walking around here, so you get all this amazing stuff to yourself. You just see the wall of windows up ahead, a perfect view of it, and there's no one else in sight on the trail. So whereas up at the Bryce viewpoint you had an awful lot of crowds, it's very few crowds here, and you get all a very similar view from Bryce. So if you're just doing the viewpoints, you don't have to do the full Peekaboo Trail or anything, just start off on it, come the first few hundred metres, and you'll get views like this without any other people around. It's really quiet, and it is an amazing shot just straight across here to the wall of windows on the far side.